Welcome into the On Deck podcast presented by Linestar. I'm Shannon Sommerville, joined by my co-host, Tyler Wiemann. Tyler, it was an exciting weekend. MLB opening weekend delivered for sure. But now we've got to get into the nitty-gritty of things. We're seeing some of these new starters that we haven't seen all season. There's a lot of them that are kind of very suspect. We don't know what we're going to see out of them. So getting into our chalk report today is going to be very interesting because I'm very interested to see where you're headed, where pretty much everyone's headed in terms of a daily fantasy lineup and just who are they putting in the starting pitching lineup.
Yeah, you're right. Today's pitching is really mixed up. A lot of starters, we don't know that much about or just don't have a huge track record of success. Yeah. Let's start off with the chalkiest pitchers on the slate, which is Nick Martinez. Now, Nick Martinez is very interesting. The last time he was in the Major League Baseball was 2017, and his stats are really bad for it.
Yeah, I remember looking that up today and saying, and you told me that this was one of the most owned pitchers, and I was like, what? Last time he was sub-8 ERA, I think it was?
Absolutely. And the reason for that is because he went to Japan from 2018 until now, and while in Japan, he has apparently found the fountain of youth and is throwing 6 mile an hour harder than he was prior.
Okay. That's significant.
Yeah, and so his K rate was like 13% going into Japan, and coming out of it, it was like 24%. So we don't really know what kind of pitcher he's going to be today, but he is cheap. And with that, a lot of people like him.
And who else are people taking? I saw one on the list today of the starters, which I like, of course, being a Georgia Bulldog as well.
Next is Alex Wood, probably around 30%. He did have a max pitch count of 31 for spring, but he is a little more of a veteran, so his underdog fantasy pitch count line is 72.5, which does give us a little bit of upside there. And then the combined K rate is only 21% for him, so he may not quite have the upside we need. And
lastly, you're going to take a look at Dylan Bundy.
Yes. Now, Dylan Bundy, there's a big question with him. Which Dylan Bundy is going to show up?
Okay.
Dylan Bundy in 2020 was a great pitcher. He had like a 2-point-something ERA, was one of the potential Cy Young candidates. But then last year he went back to his old self and was a complete mess with above a 5 ERA and would give up quite a lot of home runs. So there's a big decision there. Do you play him or do you stack against him?
Right.
As far as the low-owned pitchers, we can go into Oscar Inoua, who is right around 15% owned.
Okay.
Combined K rate of 23%, and he has a good track record against Washington with over 18 points in his 3 starts against them last season.
Gotcha. And then where else are some other low-owned value?
So there's 2 other places that are kind of interesting to me. And Ranger Suarez is one who is 15% owned. Mm-hmm. Last season, he was terrific with a mid-2 ERA, or FIP, actually, and a 26% K rate. He is likely lower owned due to the matchup, though. The Mets have been good, and they only have a combined K rate of 18%.
And lastly, I saw you had a note in here for one of the Blue Jays guys.
Yeah. This is just because it's going against
my Yankees, of course.
No, but there is something to like about Manoah tonight. He is probably around 25%, but he has a 27% K rate, and it's a very volatile Yankees lineup that can strike out a lot. So there's upside there.
And he's got a lot of high expectations. I know he kind of came out last year, but there are some expectations on his shoulders this season. I am looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table against the Yankees team that they can rake, though.
Absolutely. And
they have the first few games, so we'll see how he does with that.
They have. And then interesting to note, too, is he does have one of the higher spring pitch counts, so he could be a little more stretched out than other starters.
So you mentioned kind of what the strategies are going to be going into today, and one of the strategies, of course, that we always implement is some stacks. So where are you looking with that strategy?
So I'll start out by kind of where the field is going. It looks like majority of the field is going towards the Atlanta Braves and the Los Angeles Angels. So the Braves, the pitcher is likely going to be Josh Rogers. At this point, it is still to be determined. So they could change it up last second on us. But if that's the case, he is going against a very tough offense in Atlanta.
Yeah. How about the Angels?
The Angels, obviously, we have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and they will be the highest owned Angels by quite a large margin today. But Hernandez has a 4.69 FIP, and the Angels hit righties well with a .202 ISO.
Yeah, I really like this matchup, and you will see me highlighting that in just a little bit when we talk about home run calls. But let's talk first about some kind of lower-owned stacks that you like.
Yeah, so the couple lower-owned stacks I like is one, the Tampa Bay Rays. Paul Blackburn had a 7.6 ERA last season, so it obviously shows what kind of pitcher he was. At the same point, Tampa Bay hits righties very well with a .230 ISO.
Mm-hmm. And the other one you're looking at, Seattle?
Seattle, yes. And it's going against Dylan Bundy, like I teased a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
He gives up a lot of home runs. He gave up almost 3 home runs per season last year, and I would like to pick on that, especially if he's going to be a higher-owned pitcher.
Yeah, like those picks there. So let's move on now to our home run calls, where we're going to talk about some of the things that you brought up, especially with those Angels, where I'm going with my home run pick for the day. Quite simply, who do we think is going to go yard? I think it's going to be Shohei Ohtani, coming off a game where he actually hit the hardest hit ball of his career yesterday. So that's pretty awesome. So he's feeling it at the plate and going up against Hernandez, who has a 2.3 home run per 9 rate. That was his rate last season. His max pitches in the spring has been 33, so we might not see him go too deep into the game, which could be beneficial to Ohtani. Maybe we'll see a lefty in there. Ohtani's really good against lefties. So that's my pick for today. Where are you headed with your home run pick?
Well, there's been a theme for me today, and I am going back to pick on Dylan Bundy with Jesse Winker. As I mentioned, Dylan Bundy likes to give up a home run, and I think Winker's the guy to do it today.
All right, so those are your home run picks for today, and make sure to tweet us what your home run pick is today and follow us on Twitter so that you can kind of keep in the game with that. We'll have fun with that all season long, so make sure to tweet us in who you're picking for your home run. Next up is prop bets. And where are you going with your prop bet today?
My prop bet today, I am going with Matt Olson for over 1.5 bases. He has done that every game this season so far, and I want to keep that train rolling.
Hey, if they're hot, just hop on the Matt Olson train for sure. Where I'm going with this, a little interesting. So my decision-making process was, very elaborate in that Brandon Belt rode into the opening day game on a boat straight out of the Kenny Powers playbook. Therefore, I have to go Brandon Belt some kind of prop just to celebrate that momentous occasion. But I'm actually going to go over 1.5 bases. It's plus 135 on BetMGM. Now, there is some statistics to back this one up. Don't you worry. It's not just about the guy in the boat, but it is the lefty bat going up against Nick Martinez. As you mentioned earlier in the show, that we kind of don't know what we're going to see from Martinez, but he did spend the last 4 years in Japan, and the last time he was in the big leagues, he posted an 8.66 ERA, so I like Brandon Belt's chances tonight in that matchup. Do you like my train of thought there?
There's nothing to it that they might be playing San Diego and just trying to
There's
jab me again.
There's absolutely nothing to that they're playing your Padres and nothing at all.
Getting back at me from Manoa.
All right, so those are our picks today. Make sure to keep an eye on Twitter and follow us. Make sure you download the Linestar app if you need to upgrade your lineup. We will tell you exactly how on the Linestar app. So make sure. I saw a tweet that came in last week. Some guy said that he used the Linestar lineup and it actually won him a ton of money.
$30,000.
So that's pretty insane.
Yep.
So you're definitely going to want to check that out. You can follow us on Twitter, and of course we'll be back again tomorrow. So best of luck in all your betting and your daily fantasy today. We'll see you guys tomorrow.